Hey everybody, this is Fat Infantry, just bringing you the Phat Plan for the week of May the 19th as we head into Monday. Today's the 18th, but we're heading into Monday, May the 19th, and I always label it for that Monday as we go through. We'll go ahead and start looking through it now. The key events and earnings calendar. We have U.S. equity staged a robust rally last week, and you always like to see that word robust. Hard to be bearish, as they say. We know we had some other news this week. So there is some caution off the Moody's report at the end. We'll see how that plays out. But the easing of the U.S.-China trade tension seems to be the major catalyst that has driven this rally. Key drivers and themes. Trade policy, of course, again, the U.S. and China was the primary catalyst. Economic data was, I would say, bullish, would be the main takeaway from that. And then the technical levels. NASDAQ and the S&P 500 moved above their 200-day moving averages, which is why I like to do this every week, because we've almost reached a point where you forget that even happened. And so that becomes sort of a line in the sand for you. Earnings, overall, pretty good. Strong beat rate of 75% from the S&P 500 companies. Again, why I like to go through this, because you knew that the earnings seemed pretty good, but when you really break it down and see that number, that's a very strong number. For earnings beats across the board with the S&P. And then looking ahead in the economic calendar, relatively light. Doesn't mean that because it's light, it's not going to be impactful. So we still need to make sure we pay attention to Monday's leading indicators reports and existing and new home sales, global PMI data. With earnings, we still have companies like Home Depot and Lowe's presenting this week on their earnings, so that will be interesting. And then we also have Palo Alto and Intuit, which could definitely influence sector performance. Trade developments, again, back to the U.S.-China trade. It seems like they are the primary one. I know there is some supposed trade agreements that may be released, maybe even this weekend on Sunday. But again, as far as impact goes, it seems, unless there's something really unusual about those other ones, that it's all about U.S.-China trade impact. Maybe the European could cause us a little trouble, because it does seem that they're struggling to come to some sort of formal agreement at this time. And then market sentiment, you got to stay bullish while it's bullish, man. And it's bullish right now. There is no doubt about it. Everybody keeps posting about consolidations and pullbacks, but so far we haven't seen that yet. And so until we do, we stay on the bullish swing. Major index performances, strong week overall. I think, when you look at that S&P 1.3% number, year to date, seeing it positive again, that's a really good thing. And 5% on the week, 7% on the week with the NASDAQ, those are some pretty strong moves. Clearly the growth plays have been winning, although we did see some signs tailing at the end of the week for staples to make a little pushback. But at the same time, we see over the weekend President Trump is going at it with Walmart, and wouldn't be surprised if he turns his eyes on Costco. Costco has a little bit more of an open side to them than, say, Walmart, and that could be one that he ends up going after. So I'll keep my eyes on cost for a direction to potentially go down if the president and cost get into it as well. Right now, it seems like Walmart is at a little bit of a detente, having met with Besson over the weekend, or talked to him on the phone, I should say. So with the China trade, in the end, this is where it comes back to. I like this quote here by the Charles Schwab Weekly Traders Outlook. With China trade on a 90-day pause, the next important trade milestone in the U.S. is where they come to terms with the European Union. From a technical perspective, we are a bit stretched to the upside, but that has been the case for the past couple weeks. It can be risky to go against a recent bullish trend, but I think the odds are that we finally get some healthy consolidation next week. I think that pretty much sums up all of FinTwit and everybody's thinking. The bottom line for swing traders like me: the market's technical and fundamental backdrop has improved, but the rally could be due for a pause. That's really what we're looking at right now. I think just everybody's just sort of waiting on it. Here's your earnings for the week. You can go through and look at those, and you'll see further down that institutions have clearly swung from gold to Bitcoin. Having said that, I'm 40% long gold right now. I have a little bit of a different take than most of FinTwit on the Moody's situation. It's not that I feel like the market's going to go down. I feel like gold's going to go up. Notable stocks: Loar looking really good. LOAR, space theme play with a very nice after earnings drop. This is highest volume within a year as their institutions appear to be buying it back up. So I'm looking for a gap fill here and push into all-time highs. XPEV has earnings this week, I believe, and it seems too easy. Unless we see a large market pullback, I'm going to try to get long here on XPEV. Whether they're lying or telling the truth, I don't care. Their earnings are going to go up based off everything we're seeing as far as electric vehicles in China. MSTR, it's obvious play. I mean, it's a nice pullback and has a little bit of a bullish reversal set up on it. If we can get there, I mean, Bitcoin right now is ripping, so we may not be able to enter on that one. AMTM, it's one that I feel like it's got a clean and simple break here. Put in a nice hammer bar. We can push through on that reversal. Also looking actionable for Monday potentially. And a little bit precious metals type, not precious metals, what am I looking for? Scarce metals that the United States is trying to shift towards. And then ERJ, again, kind of sleeping a little bit. And I think that ERJ is ready as well. It also put in a bullish reversal off its 1020 cloud. And then Meta, same thing, put in a reversal a little bit off the 10. Didn't quite come back to the 10, but I mean, when you look at how strong the institutions pushed it up, look at those gaps holding. So these are unfilled gaps. This is all classic bullish behavior, which it's come back twice to the gap and been pushed up both times and is ready to go. So, I mean, through that high of the day Friday on intraday volume, and I'm going to be all over it. Up in weekly volume, we have Dave, SEZLHURN, a little insurance here with GSHD, Coin, and LIF. This is the Life Alert stock coming to life right here. And again, some of these, we really want to wait for the pullbacks on these, but we put them on the list and we watch them. These are clearly wanted by institutions. They have relative strength ratings above 90, and they have A+ setups in terms of accumulation and distribution. Deep View Theme Tracker, like I was telling you earlier, you can clearly see right here where the blockchain has taken over. I mean, pushed in this past week and now on the month, and it was down the list. So on the year, it's improving. It's now 2, 3, 4, fourth down the list. So these are obvious signs. Again, you probably have to wait for a pullback in them. But the miners, although they pushed back a little on Friday, somebody always knows type thing with Moody's. They had been dropping. It looked like they were going to lose their 50 EMA across the board, and then they started filling back up. So we'll see how that plays out Monday. Again, I'm long gold. Solars clearly are a theme, and they're pulling back now, so there's going to be some opportunity there. And then, of course, technology looking good as well. Performance for the week. So this is our 5-day look at the market carpet off of stockcharts.com. And you can clearly see the technology. I mean, the big boys are participating. See Google and Meta, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, and Avago. That shows clear institutional accumulation. And at the same time, if you look at Fridays, one day, I'm not going to bring it up right now, but we actually saw a little bit of a swing again towards the defensives. So we'll see if that continues or that was like a last gasp of them. Market breadth, still looking very strong. No denying it. I mean, ever since we put in those higher lows right there, and then we did a little undercut. They all did a little undercut right there, and then just took off. A little undercut and took off. And it got a lot of people right there on these days. They just kind of stopped everybody out and then just left everybody. There was an expected rollover that never came. Let's see, because this was back when we were sort of thinking we were bear market and it would fail, and it did not. Which is why, again, you follow the trend, short-term, medium, and long-term. You can read further down on there, and then I just put you a little graph. So basically, is there positive divergence in April? Yes. I mean, it's looking great, looking real good, putting in new highs across the board with the exception of IWM, of course, which refuses to do that. Let's see. This is my favorite indicator. I built this one indicator, call it the handy dandy indicator, and I built it specifically for the MMTW. I use it on other charts as well. Works pretty good on ETFs and commodities especially. I use it, really I started on commodities and then I modified it, got it to work on MMTW, and then now I use it for commodities and MMTW. So basically what we have here is when it's yellow, we're buying stocks, but when it's blue, we're buying on margin. And when it turns red, we back off, and you can see it's it's pretty effective. It doesn't work every time. I can go back further left and show you times where it didn't work, but because you never know when you have news catalysts and such. However, as you see here, we're waiting on the red. And until we get the red, you know, we're bullish. So we're still bullish as of Sunday afternoon. The VIX, everything looking copacetic here, man. That thing's going down. And so what I like about this is when it does turn up, you'll know. And you'll know that's probably the pullback coming in with the puts. McClellan oscillator, a bit oversold here. It is coming down, but that tends to usually be a sign that we're going to see a downturn. You can see the basic relationships here in them, and it's looking very similar to this one right here, showing the classic symptoms of being overbought. So that pullback will come, but if you post it enough, eventually you're going to be right. NASDAQ 100 bullish percent index. It is also overbought. Hadn't quite turned down yet, but it looks like we're starting to see some signs again. If we can get both of them down there below their respective lines, then we will look to either short or just simply move our stops up on stocks that we're long. Probably you can tell how good a trader's doing if they're talking about shorting because things are overbought like this, or if they're talking about moving up their stops. That's probably you can tell who missed the rally. Bullish percent index, same thing. We're just waiting on it to cross that 70. And it doesn't always work. That's why there's secondary indicators. SPY, we've got some key levels here. Let me zoom down to the key levels. So I got the key levels for you. Resistance at 595, 600, 610. 585 is support, and you can see that up here. Let me zoom in a little better for you. There you go. All right. So we can see right here, 585 would be our support level. This would be our first level if we see a pullback that we want to see a hold. Haven't put the line on it yet because it's not, I would say it's a short-term strength right here. I need to just draw a line from left to right here. I think that's really more important than all this back here. This day right here, this follow-through day, is probably more important. And again, you can see clearly we've got some signs of accumulation. This is great. When you see it turn green and you see it putting in a higher high right here, that's what you want to see. That's beautiful. Shows good strength in the market right now. Let me zoom back a little bit. All right, next up, we're still looking at SPY, but we're looking at it from the deep view market trend analysis. And what's exciting about this is that we now have a Sam Weinstein stage 2 move. That's the shaded area. I can show you down here is the stage analysis. So this is the market trend stage analysis, and this is a Sam Weinstein. And when you look at it, you can clearly see that we turned blue. We weren't across all the moving averages. We were below the 50 here, but we turned blue because we moved above the 10 and 20 cloud right here. And then we moved above the 50 and we turned green because all three moving averages were up and price was above them. And as you see right here, it was a nice move. And then now looking for continuation as we move into a Sam Weinstein stage 2. So what we would love to see is a pullback. That's why everybody's so excited. We've moved into stage 2 on the Sam Weinstein analysis. And so if we pull back into that 10-20 cloud, that would be wonderful. And you'll see everybody look to get long. That's where gap ups occur. We'll pull back, everybody will get a little negative, and then you'll wake up one morning and we'll have a 1% gap up in the S&P. At some point, you got to assume some risk. Relative rotation graph, I mean, clearly showing that great left hook we had, I showed this a long time ago where we were forming a left hook with the defensives. They have now come back around, and they are rolling over. They're not looking at rolling over. They have been rolling over. We're seeing a little glass gasp again by XLP. Started pushing back Friday, but again, we got a little bit of a pissing contest right now between Trump and Walmart, so we'll see how all that plays out. Looks like Bessent's trying to play a little peacemaker there. Judgment Day is here, in my opinion. We'll see what XLK does. If it does push into the improving, then I would look to buy XLY, so your Amazon stocks, because that's going to follow. So if XLK is successful, I see no reason why XLY, after this thing has come from a long downtrend after being the leading stock of our prior bullish move in the market, and now it looks primed to follow XLK. If XLK rolls over here, gets denied, which this is like a 50 EMA level, then I would look for XLY to roll over as well. If XLK is successful and drives into the improving quadrant, then of course I would look for XLY to follow, look to get long some of those stocks. Before we look further at the S&P 500 sectors versus SPY, let's look at the offensive versus defensive chart below, and this is it right here. And what we have is a potential pullback by XLY versus XLP. And it looks like we may get a little pullback, so defensives could be winning for a day or two as we pull back for a viable setup. Same thing with RSPD, which is the equal weight of XLY basically, and what we have here is a potential pullback as well. So no worries right here. I think that we've got good support right here, and I think we've got good support right here. So this is that viable pullback you want to look for in the growth stocks. And this is commonly used to see growth versus, offensive versus defensive. We'll just call it that. Key takeaways, both ratios experienced significant corrections, reflecting a period of increased defensiveness, and everybody remembers that recently. And then, of course, the rebounds of both ratios breaking above short-term resistance, the blue dash line. That was pretty fun to watch that. We had these blue dash lines. We could see it setting up, and then once it broke it, man, it just took off. Beautiful move. And then both are now approaching resistance levels, so, we could see a little pullback, which we already looked at. Growth and value and defensive sectors versus SPY. So let's look at the growth sectors first. And what we see here is we have broken a key level on the XLK. Wouldn't surprise me again if we pull back some here. There is quite a bit of resistance overhead. And then here we have the communication sector, which is for the first time potentially looking a little weak. Now I'm looking to get long Meta. It's in a nice hammer right above its 10 EMA, so it could just as easily bounce off this. So trend lines ascending and descending are the same as horizontal, and this is clearly a 3-tapper, and so it's coming in. So this is a support level, and right here on this descending trend line. So it doesn't mean that it's going to pull back, but if it does, if it breaks through that trend line, then I would be cautious. But I'll be looking to get long on Meta, and remember, Netflix is in that stock too, and Netflix just put in all-time highs on Friday. So I don't know how bearish that makes XLC. Consumer discretionary, looking good here. Looking for a trend line break. We'll see what happens. This will be an interesting line to watch during the day Monday. Let's see how we go through. So consumer discretionary, looking to join the fun with the other growth stocks. We'll see. Again, remembering back to your relative rotation graph, I would look for XLK to lead XLY through that line. If XLK fails, then I wouldn't be trying to get long XLY there. We'll see. Maybe they take over maybe a rotation turns towards XLY and they take over the leadership. Summary table. So again, just a review over that. XLK below the major resistance, needs a breakout for leadership, and XLC above support. Uptrend is intact, but momentum is slowing. We're going to test that descending trend line. And then XLY broke the downtrend. We're testing resistance for confirmation. We'll see. Look for it to follow XLK, which is up against, again, on the relative rotation graph, XLK is up against the 100 level, which acts like the 50 EMA on a price chart. Value sectors, relative strength versus SPY, again. So XLI breaking out. Clear breakout by XLI. It's got space theme in it. Financials, don't know, man. Keep looking to get long them. Really like KRE, regional banking, but so far it just hasn't happened. And then materials, looks like it's in a clear downtrend to me. And energy sector, clear downtrend at this time. Could be very flexible based on news, though. I saw that Israel is picking up action again in the Gaza Strip, so keep eyes on oil for that and gold. Value sectors, relative strength versus SPY. Here we have a little 2-tapper, not quite a trend line yet, but I went ahead and put it on there if we get to it, and we'll see what happens there for XLU. These guys are worn out after some very strong runs here. Had some very nice moves. Getting a little volatile here on real estate. Just don't know. I've seen some good real estate moves. They keep setting up, but many of them more are failing than are being successful, in my opinion, which is why you see a line like it is. So it's weak. It's weak, but just looking at my chart right here as I scan through it, you can go back and read on your own. Weak, but not down, not breaking down yet. So it is weak. And then thoughts this week. I put my money where my mouth is. I'm up 25% plus on the year, and that's after hitting 30% this week. I screwed up, gave a chunk back. I was long with Walmart into earnings and cost, and basically they got into a shout match with Trump, which was obviously coming. I couldn't figure out why the price wasn't acting right, and that was why. And remember, guys, you can do it. Just keep studying, man. You got to study, and study some more. I don't care if you got kids. I don't care if you have too much work to do. I don't care. You find the time. You don't have to eat. You don't have to sleep. All you have to do is study. It's an old saying from years ago in college, and it's true. If you want something bad enough, you'll make the time, and you'll be successful, and that's what I am. Thank you for watching the video. If you'd like, you can come join the Stock Talk Insiders Discord, and you can get this entire PDF. And of course, you can ask me any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.